I think that Grit is an overwhelmingly ugly game on the board. Most card games that I like, you can tell what's going on at a glance. You can tell kind of who's winning, who's in a strong position, or how a game's going based on the board state. And Grit, along with we used to have the armory deck and your stamina and your tenacity and your heroes, your inactive, your active, your enhancements, your summons, whatever it may be, made that really, really difficult. And I really could not put my my finger on exactly why that's the case, and I think I figured it out. So if we were to set up a game with Hilda as our first active hero, we draw 5 cards and we get our stamina here on the side. We now are ready to begin. Now, normally, in the game as it is now, if I wanted to play an enhancement card, I would pay the cost and put it into play. If I wanted to play an, let's say an attack card, I would pay the cost and I would do the ability and I would put it into my tenacity. That's the same with defense cards and skill cards. I would perform the effects on these and then place them inside of my tenacity face up. Enhancements now have always been like this, where they are passive effects, beneficial oftentimes, that can stay in play, quote unquote, next to your heroes. So that way you can activate their effect, pay their cost, and do whatever cool thing it is they do. Meaning, over the course of the game, your party has access to this really awesome enhancement that somehow enables your gameplay, hinders your opponents, or does something so beneficial that it outright pays for itself over the course of a few turns. And so what we get into is if I have a few more enhancements, let's say I draw another set of cards, I play some more cards to my tenacity, and then I want to play also maybe another enhancement in play, and then I want to switch here to Amber and she makes an attack, and now I've got all these things going on for myself. And I mean, taking a look at this, I've got 3 rows of cards, and one of them obviously has a lot less in the back with my inactive heroes. I've got my active hero with my enhancements, and then I've also got my tenacity line. And as you can see fairly quickly, this gets a little bit out of hand. Now, since the removal of the armory deck, we've actually taken something away from this to meaning what we're looking at is something that is a little bit clearer than it was originally before we thought about this next change going on. This, to me, is just ever so slightly too much. I understand that we have 3 separate rows of cards here that each detail something different. In the back row are my inactive cards. In my middle row are my active in-play cards. And then in the top is my tenacity. Now, obviously, we can move all these things. Let's say that I want to move all of these up front so my opponent can see what I have in play. My inactive heroes up front, and then I put my tenacity in the back line. Well, that's, I've got a little buffer here, and that helps a little bit for readability. But in and of itself, I don't like the idea that my hero gets gummed up in this other stuff. So what if we try something weird, like we put down our life to the bottom left, we make it a little bit smaller, then I want to put all of my heroes maybe up top, and I put my active one on the top. And now I've got my tenacity in the back here, and all my other cards are in play up here. But then we have this. This is my deck, right? And I need a discard pile. So imagine I have a discard pile of a few cards. This, in and of itself, is not an issue, but it's something to take into account. When you have rows of cards and things in play, you have to consider what is relevant within this play space. Now, I think a lot of times we get our discard piles go to the very bottom right or closer to us, meaning it's not necessarily outwardly important to our opponent. The information we're conveying is something that's in front. My active hero, my cards in play, but I also think that the tenacity is also very important. This shows all the cool little abilities I can do in my tenacity, things with abilities that are cool. I also see costs are also very relevant. When you make an attack, you can parry with cards in your tenacity to prevent damage, meaning I have to know, and my opponent has to know, what's in each other's tenacity. So the core problem here is readability of the board. So what are some ideas to fix this? Well, a lot of different ideas. Shifting the board states was a very, very long process to figure out that it's not actually necessarily that, but rather, let's start back at the beginning. I'm gonna bring out my heroes here. Let's put our life back up. I'm gonna do it in kind of a cuter way. How about that? That looks nice and prim and proper. I'm going to bring Hilda up front. I'm going to draw, let's put all this back on top. I'm going to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, once again, I want to play something like a skill card. I would pay its cost and put it into my Tenacity, just like normal. But now I want to play an enhancement card. I'm going to pay its cost, and instead of putting it into play, I'm going to put it also into my Tenacity. Now, my Tenacity is my play area. It's got everything here that I could possibly need. It's got the cards I've played and their costs, as well as their orientation on my Tenacity. And enhancements also have all the exact same information. But now we have to differ abilities on enhancements or that are active in play. Skill cards, attack cards, and defense cards are all one-time use cards that then gain some sort of additional value while in play. While on our Tenacity. So all these cards have a one-time effect, and we can denote this by just having text. When you play it, do what the text says. Put them on your Tenacity and, in essence, forget about them. But when we talk about something like enhancements, we now have to think about how to differentiate them. So what we've done is we've taken some little symbols here. There is on thoughtful A for an action ability, and we have R on last stand for a reaction ability. When something happens, do this thing. So now when we on our Tenacity, we can see that these have little colored effects that then allow us to know that, hey, something will happen with these cards and they're special, as opposed to these other cards which don't. And we can get really creative with this to see if I can find a really fun one. If we have action abilities, reaction abilities, that means we can also have other types of abilities that they've had initially. And I don't think this deck really has any, does it? Oh, I do. Shielding has a D for defense ability, meaning you can activate this anytime you could activate a defense card. And then I think over on another deck here, we might have a passive ability, if I can find one. Sweet. Song of Iron here has a P for passive. While ready, defense cards you play get -1 cost, meaning that now this card has always an effect with this passive ability. Which I think is a lot more fun for us to do things with, because that means we can also have other cards like these defense, attack, and skill cards that then can have abilities as well, passive or otherwise. Maybe it's an action ability to discard it and to draw a card. Allowing us a lot more variation with this play area being the Tenacity line, and also really driving home that the Tenacity line is the gimmick of Grit. We want all play and all manner of kind of everything to go through this and function around it, because that's really the differing factor of this game. Not to say it's a one-trick pony, but rather that if we're going to do something different, unique, and special, let's make that thing something people want to interact with and want to deal with the entire part of the game. Now that's a design decision in all sorts of game design, but I think that's something that I want to lean into is, hey, this is a cool thing, let's use it as much as we can. So now we have still these 3 rows, but now we also have this very clear line of here is my stuff in play for my opponent and myself to see, and I can see that very clear front and center is my active hero. This is the most important person in, important card on my field right now. It dictates so much of what I'm going to do. It dictates if I can make a basic attack, what my hand size is. It dictates what cool ability that I'm currently trying to function totally around. And now, then when I move out, I can switch in somebody new, and it's very clear and very easy and very, I keep using this word crisp, I don't know why. It's very clear cut that this is my active hero, these are somehow in the backline and less relevant, and all of this stuff closest to my opponent and blocking them from me, literally, is the most important thing that they need to take into account. And then we have our stamina, obviously, but this is just a pretty way to do it. I don't know why I like this so much. Yes, that is, I think, the next really, really big change that Grit is seeing right now and currently in play testing with a lot of good results. I think there are some questions that come out of this, but I think I will talk about those in maybe a different video, because I think for now this is more than enough information of why and how we got to this point. So, hey, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, super awesome. Thank you so much. That's really awesome of you to give me your time like that. And if you didn't, got him. Wherever you are, whenever you are in the world, please have a good day, night, morning, weekend, lunch break, walk, run, or sit down. It's good for you to relax every once in a while. You do you. I'll see you in whatever the next video is, hopefully. So, see ya.